Hey guys, Figurecraft here, and today we're going to be doing the next stage of the build of the RMS Titanic. So for this we're going to be doing issue 37. You'll need your 37 box, which is right here, 37. You're going to need your gearbox. You're going to need your screwdriver set, tweezers, and lastly but not least, you're going to need your issue 37 book. So, let me get the book open, see what we're doing first. Okay, issue 37, motor for the transmission. So let me grab my tweezers here. And we're going with the same ones that we always use. ESD17. That over there. Step 1. Take the motor 37A and the gearbox from issue 35. The shaft of the motor has to be fitted into the socket in the cog at the top of the gearbox cover. You will need to rotate the socket so that the D shape can be aligned with the shaft of the motor. To do this, use the shaft 37D to rotate the cog at the bottom right hand corner left. Note the position of the flat side of the motor and the cables, red left, black right, when correctly fitted below. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get our box open. Opened it upside down. There. So we're going to need our motor. So yeah, we need a motor. So we got that. We're going to need our gearbox cover, which is that. And we're also going to need this, because I've seen people's videos, and to me it'd be a whole lot easier to put the motor in this thing first than in that thing, but we'll see. And then we're also going to need a little metal shaft for turning the sockets if it's not the correct orientation. Which mine are the correct orientation because I've already got it, but what it wants you to do if you don't have that, it wants you to take the D-shaped end right here and put it into the D-shaped hole, and then twist this around until your middle right here will match the motor orientation. And you want to make sure that your red wire is on the left and your black wire is on the right. And then you just insert this into there. But like I said, I'm going to be doing mine a different way. So let me read the next step. So now we're going on to step 2. Step 2. Ensure that the motor is fully inserted into the recess in the gearbox. Unwind the cable and thread the end into the motor housing 37B, bringing it out through the opening in the side of the housing below. fit the housing 37B over the engine so that it is flush with the edge of the gearbox below left. Fix in place with 4 AP screws, tightening them firmly. Okay, so it's going to have us to do this step now. That right there. But like I said, I think it'd be much easier if we put the motor into the housing first. So I'm going to unwind this cable. Being very delicate and careful. Like so. And then I'm going to take the very end of this cable, grabbing this housing piece. We're going to feed the wire in the housing, making sure that it comes out this bottom rectangular square hole. So we're going to slowly feed the wire through that hole, taking our time. And now that we get down to the motor, we're going to make sure that the red wire is on the right and the black wire is on the left. So, taking our time, we are now going to insert this motor into here, pressing it firmly, looking through the bottom, because there is a peg in here that we have to make sure that that touches and it doesn't catch the wire. So I'm looking in there, or trying my best to look in there. Let me get it in the light. Just about there. Okay, that should be it right there. And now you're going to take this and put this over there. You see, that's much easier. You just put it in there first, making sure your wires are aligned, and then you put this in place like that. That is much easier to do. And now those sockets are locked in place. They ain't going nowhere. So now the next thing is to get the AP screws that they provided us with. We need 4 of them at first. So setting this box to the side, I'm going to go ahead and get my screwdriver set. I am going to grab the same one that I always grab, which when I turn it around, PH1. And then I'm going to grab the screwdriver, putting that into the end. And now we're going to work on getting 4 screws out of here. So just give me a few seconds here. Now I'm working with that. There's 2. Whoa, too many came out. Come back here. Okay, I got 4 out, sealing up the bag. I'm going to grab my first screw. And then I'm going to put the first screw right here. Taking my time. That one's tightened good. And now I'm going to grab my second screw. That one's tightened good. I'm going to grab my third screw. Not using any oil on these because this is going into plastic. Okay, I'm going to grab my last screw. Stubborn. There we go. Those are now in there and fully secure. That's 4 screws in there. And the wire is coming out the bottom like it's supposed to. So now I'm going to get my next instructions and read those. Alright, step 3. Now take the base 37C. Thread the cable from the motor through the rectangular opening circled red or circled right. Fit the base against the housing so that the screw holes are aligned. Fix in place with 4 AP screws below. So, similar to what we did before, we are now going to be doing that step. So, getting our next piece out of the box, which is right here. And that will be this step right here. Now, when you thread this through, make sure that you don't have it this way round and then thread it through. That's the wrong way. You want to make sure that it's this way with the opening facing up. And then you're going to take your wire and you're going to start feeding it through this square hole right here. Or rectangle hole, whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it a square because it looks like a square to me. But you want to thread it all the way through. Make sure that no wires catch. And then these sockets right there are going to line with them sockets. So you're going to thread it all the way through. And then it's going to click in place like that. So that wire up here. So now we need 4 more AP screws out of this bag. So let me work on getting them. Use my screwdriver here. Ha! Look at that. Hang on a minute and I'll get you in focus. There's 4 there. It grabbed 4. That's good. And then we have 1 left over. So now we're going to take our screws, load them up into the screwdriver. And then we're going to start putting some screws into these holes. That one's in there. Getting our next one. And that one's in there. We have one more issue to do after this, of this shipment 7. I'm still waiting on shipment 8 to come in the mail. It hasn't came yet. They've took the payment, but I'm just waiting for it to be shipped. So putting our 3rd screw in. That one's good. And then our last one. Which is right there. And there we go. Those 4 are now in. And we have that much of the motor done that runs the engines. So now we're going to turn to the next page, which the next page is the last page. And step 4, which is the final step. Take the shaft 37D. Fit the D-shaped end of the shaft into the center of the cog, circled top right and above. Push the shaft firmly into the cog right. So we are now going to basically be doing this, putting that metal shaft into the piece. So facing it this way, getting this wire out of the way, we're going to take the D shape of this shaft, look for the D-shaped hole in there, and we're going to insert that shaft into there like that. And that right there completes this stage. With that, this stage is complete. So yeah, we're done with that. And then the last part says, the motor and a shaft have been fitted to the gearbox. That's your last step. And then coming next week, let me tilt you up here. Coming next week in issue 38, which will be our last one of this month, we are going to be testing the motor. And then we're going to go to the next page. We're going to be putting that piece down to the engine room floor, attaching it to the engines. We're going to be checking our engines, making sure they are correctly aligned, which I know mine are because I did that ahead of time. And then the very last page is going to basically be talking about when you're ready to do the test and all that. And then it's going to tell us to store all that away. That's going to be next week, but that's going to be it for this one. You all have a blessed one, and when I come back, we'll be going over some more figures. I'm not sure what we'll be going over yet, but we'll be going over some more figures. But y'all have a blessed one, and until then, goodbye.